12 things to know before visiting Lofoten Islands, Norway. The Lofoten Islands, an archipelago in northern Norway, are one of the most traditional places on the planet. It's all too easy to assume that you could not go anywhere wrong with a trip to Lofoten to see some of the most beautiful landscapes in Norway. That can be very true if you know a few things about the trip to the islands. On the other hand, if you are not properly informed about the peculiarities of this group of islands, you may not make the best of your visit. It can even bring some pain if you're not from Norway. To avoid any possible hiccup, this video presents the 12 things to know before visiting Lofoten Islands in Norway. 1. You need travel insurance. One of the first things to know before visiting the Lofoten Islands in Norway is that you need travel insurance. While this is needed for almost all trips, it is especially crucial for travelling to a place with lots of snow and ice. Lofoten Islands is one such place. You need to make your search to ensure that you will have a good bargain with reliable and credible travel insurance in advance. Doing so will give you some sense of security before you set out. Such travel insurance will go a long way in relieving any anxiety you could have if something goes wrong. 2. You can't trust the weather. The weather can be crazy on this island. If you're basking in the euphoria of that lovely weather, please bear in mind what it really is. It would not last so long. Lofoten's weather is quite unpredictable. Therefore, don't be surprised or carried away by the consistent sunshine that will change almost immediately. But that's good news, as the weather looks so bad now, you can change for the better in just 10 minutes if you can wait. Lofoten is not among the places tourists can rely on whatever the weather forecast is saying. You need to go along with your rain gear and warm layers that you should be using interchangeably as the weather changes. 3. Lofoten's tourism is still in its infancy. While Lofoten had a big reputation, it doesn't mean that tourism there is as organised as Edinburgh's or Dubai's. Note that it was not founded as a large tourist attraction. You may need to do the extra job for your accommodation to be solid. You also need to bear in mind that locals may be surprised by the huge influx of tourists. It's a residence and workplace for people. This might be a sort of hindrance to your photo shoot, pitching your tent and setting up your tripod. Others even consider the tourism influx intrusive. 4. Your visit can be more challenging without a car. Touring Lofoten with a car will make it a lot easier to explore. If you could bring your car, fine. If not, you may have to look for rental cars in Norway. This is because public transport in Lofoten is not as regular, frequent and organised as it is in cities. It's not uncommon for tourists to be stuck in a village on the island for hours waiting for public transport. Public transport is very limited. Buses run from point A to B just a few times per day. Since you really can't explore the island on foot and public transport isn't ideal for tourism, you just have to budget for a rental car. 5. Outdoor activities are the best. As you plan your tour to Lofoten, you should know that outdoor activities are a major deal on the islands. We have listed some of these in our video about things to do in Lofoten. Of course, some big cruises can be seen passing through the place. Climbing, fishing, hiking, kayaking, skiing. Arctic surfacing and cycling in good weather are what tourists enjoy most. So you have to be young at heart to be among the adventurers making it to Lofoten in a big way. 6. Hiking can sometimes be dangerous in Lofoten. We need to quickly add this, not to scare you off, but to warn you. You don't need to be too adventurous while hiking. You must be sure you're indeed energetic, not just young at heart, to hike, as hiking can be dangerous in Lofoten during winter. Don't just trust your snowshoes, skis and even normal hiking boots. You just need to understand safer hiking routes because of the erratic weather that can suddenly start hurling snowstorms. It's unwise to plan your hiking route based on photos and videos you found online. Those famous hikes can be really crowded and not very safe. Your best hiking plan should factor in the current weather conditions. 7. Lofoten is a photographer's dream location. If there's one thing that you can't travel to Lofoten without, it has to be your camera equipment. It does not matter your level of professionalism in photography, you'll have a lot of opportunities to take beautiful shots. And your Instagram feed will be full of photos of Lofoten. Those into photography can't wait to get themselves into the island. They're likely there right now as you're watching this video. It's a nice idea to even book a photography tour of the archipelago. 8. You may not see the northern lights. Since Lofoten lies beneath the auroral oval, this should increase your chances of seeing the highly attractive northern lights that many tourists are fascinated with. Normally, you should be able to see them while riding on horseback. With Lofoten's weather warmed by the Gulf Stream, several locations in Lofoten should be ideal for you to see the Northern Lights. Unfortunately, the weather has prevented many tourists from seeing the Northern Lights during their first visits. Lofoten enjoys a lot of coastal rainfall, which often leads to cloudy nights with an obscured view and reduced chances of seeing a clear sky. Some tourists have visited Lofoten 4 times before they could see the spectacular dancing lights. 9. Beer in its class. Another thing you need to know before visiting Lofoten, if you want to maximise your tourist experience by adding choice drinks, is that it has a beer of its class. Lofoten Islands craft beer does exist. Lofoten Pils is a company operating a brewery in Svolvær. Its absolutely delicious beer is being distributed throughout the islands. You can even have a chance to tour the brewery and then can sample some amounts of the unique beer. The Pilsner is their area of specialisation and bestseller. Of course, the brewery offers seasonal beers as well. Their beers are almost anywhere on the islands and they're the first offer at a lot of the restaurants. 10. You can fly or drive your way. You have to learn the easiest and most convenient way of getting to Norway and finally to Lofoten. Some tourists are apprehensive about getting to Lofoten after flying into Norway. That should not be a source of worry at all. But we understand that transport on islands usually requires the use of a ferry. There are a bunch of daily flights into Svolvær or Evenes. You just need to be sure of the current prices and flight schedules. And don't forget, you can also just drive to Lofoten as the islands connect to the mainland in the north. 11. You will be greeted by sights of cod drying racks. Something you can't avoid is the cod drying that you will be seeing. You're most likely going to see large racks everywhere you go and cod on them being sun-dried, depending on what season you're visiting the island. Even if you don't see the actual cod on them during certain times of the year, you will certainly see those racks no matter what. Even before you see it, you will smell it. This means while visiting Lofoten, your eyes will be greeted by sights and your nose by the smell of cod drying racks. 12. Stockfish dishes everywhere. Do you love stockfish dishes? You had better develop a fondness for it on or before you visit Lofoten Islands. You sure have noted that you see the racks and perceive the smell everywhere you go. Those things you see normally end their journey in pots of dishes, while the majority of them are exported. For that reason, you will always find stockfish on the menu wherever you go. But for lovers of stockfish who don't have enough opportunity to eat as much as they desire, Lofoten is a place to enjoy stockfish dishes with a unique twist. Many restaurants there offer stockfish with a spin on it. If you bear in mind these things, you'll thank us by the time you return from Lofoten Islands. Please, we want to have your comments on what you feel we missed. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.